Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is probably the best example of multiplayer in a 3D Sonic game. I was impressed by how you could use any move in your arsenal, plus a few new ones, to put your opponents at a disadvantage in any race. The fact that you could physically attack other characters and players was really neat to me, even to this day. And with Frontiers being as big and open as it is, I've been doing races between all of the cyberspace portals placed on each of the islands. We're not just doing arcade mode, no, we're physically running to each portal so we get a bit of open zone movement and cyberspace movement. The multiplayer mod was completely different since I last did Kronos and Ares. Now there's an entire PvP system in place. Your strength, defense, and ring stats are all directly tied to combat. It might seem obvious that it would, but personally I'm just impressed that a single developer was able to do this with a game he didn't even make. PvP is very chaotic, and obviously it wasn't intended to be used with any of the characters' movesets. It's honestly difficult to keep track of what's happening in the moment, but in a way it almost feels immersive. It's extremely common for players to be flying around in the air while fighting, like it's a Dragon Ball game or something. If anything, the spectacle is very fun. That being said, the properties of this changed how this game works even in cyberspace to a very, very high degree. And I wanted to finish my journey through all the islands, but we had way more people than usual after this update dropped, and some really funny problems came up that we had to solve. And here we finally are on Chaos Island. It's been a few days since my last session with everybody, but here we are with so many more new people, because when we did this, it was not too long after the PvP update came out, and it was on a community night with around 40-ish different people. It was hell to try and organize. Like right there, I just got killed in the crossfire for absolutely no reason. And it's funny because those abilities are also tied to like how much strength a person has, so that just shredded through me immediately. Now, there is something really comforting about seeing this many people here. This is exactly what I envisioned back when I did Kronos and Ares, but this time we have the amount of people to make it a reality. And it's really funny, like, just seeing people gliding in the sky in the back there, using all of their individual abilities for each character. It's funny because if somebody accidentally gets hit one time, people just start going PvP mode, like, they can't control themselves. But anyway, we decided to do our ritual of spinning up to start the race, and it's funny because of how many people there were on the server this time around. That amount of, like, dust effect actually crashed the server a few times. It didn't happen early on, but it did eventually. It's so aesthetically pleasing seeing the different primary colored jump balls like side by side with the red, pink, and blue as we all race towards the portal. It's so neat seeing people come from all different directions when landing in this area too. And here we are in 3-1. This was a challenge because everybody could damage each other and we all start at 0 rings. If somebody has the boost does damage code, yeah. So periodically we would just see people drop like flies for absolutely no reason. It was honestly kind of frustrating when it wasn't funny. It was very frustrating trying to get 40 different people around here without killing each other. Some people were just getting comboed against their will. But eventually we did reach a ceasefire and we were all able to pose up and get ready. And then we all took each other out because a lot of people were using the damage on boost code, which is just a death sentence at the very beginning of a race where everybody has 0 rings. And we really did try giving this a good go, but we eventually just had to ask the developer to see if he could disable damage temporarily. And he did. He was able to put it on a brand new version of the server that we all installed in the moment. Now for real this time, all of the boys are here, posted up, stretched up, ready to go, and there will be no interruptions this time around. We legitimately almost crashed the server by doing this, by the way. I'm not joking. I remember the developer at one point had to go, stop, don't. So shout out to Angry Zor for putting up with us. Also, I think my #1 favorite thing the PvP update added was the fact that you can homing attack literally every other player with the UI reticle and everything. Like, look at that! I got launched just because somebody else magnet dashed to that handle, and then I homing attacked them. It transferred the momentum over to me. You can get so smart and creative with how you race other people now, because you can actually use them as a tool for momentum instead of just springs and handles and enemies. You could use other people to your advantage, which I think low-key adds a layer of depth to the meta of Sonic racing. I don't know, it's just kind of fun, conceptually. And of course, you can also ladder each other if a bunch of people are homing attacking each other at the same time. Definitely keep damage off when you're in cyberspace, because that could be pretty difficult otherwise. I've said it in the other videos too, but it just sounds fun, like, racing through a level and seeing so many names on different parts of the level, whether they're behind you or in front of you. It just feels comfy to know you're not alone. And speaking of not alone, everybody celebrates like madmen at the end of this level. As they should. Look how many name tags there are this time. Seriously, we ran into several technical difficulties that Angry Zord thankfully fixed immediately. But like, people were just freaking out. They couldn't control themselves. This is the chaos that came out of the PvP update, and I do kind of miss when it was a little bit more relaxed, but I feel like people have got to get bored of that at some point, right? Haha. Anyway, but this right here, this imagery was beautiful to me. I had a dumb smile on my face. I was giggling in the voice chat, and I was like, wow. It is so gorgeous seeing so many different people who understand the movement of this game really well. Oh, by the way, I saved myself from falling directly into the lava by homing attacking onto that person that was flying in the distance. How cool is that? Like, movement just got so much cleaner as a whole in this game. It's funny, too, because when we tried getting into the portal, everybody just kept bouncing on each other's jump balls, and nobody could actually land in front of it. And speak of the devil, immediately as we drop in, everybody is just laddering each other just by holding the jump button. And again, I'm not usually one for, like, doing really annoying spam of effects and attacks to ensue chaos, but, like, this is just really funny to look at. It's like a bunch of hamsters playing together. That being said, we're gonna spin dash off this ramp, and it's so funny because there's hit stop for every individual thing you hit with the spin dash in Frontiers, so we got stopped a million times. And then literally everybody got hit by this BS spike trap. I swear to God, that hits everybody no matter how much you've actually played this game. This level, while 2D, was still actually a really fun learning experience because your movement has to be very tight. You have to be very precise with a lot of things you do, and it's very easy to screw things up in 2D, especially if you're not playing Sonic, because the physics on the other characters are a little weird. But it was neat because you could use other people to, like, bounce off of them and ladder off of them, and you could use them to, like, know where you gotta go. You can use them to literally magnet dash further and keep up with everybody else. This was such a fun level to watch so many different people go through. Of course, this is the Missouri level from Sonic Unleashed, so it was really funny watching a bunch of people try to scale this spiraling mountain that they could just fall down and have to restart over and over. Knuckles' glide is really busted on this, by the way. It felt very satisfying to glide over other people that were struggling. And a bada bing, a bada boom. I did eventually find a semblance of peace and order amongst all the chaos, and people were able to follow me with, like, very little problem as we got ready to go to our next waypoint. I think it's funny that you can actually see Rey's Epic on my friends list in the bottom right of the screen, booting up Frontiers, because they were actually in this session. So if you play with the multiplayer mod frequently, you'll actually know when people are going to hop on if they're on your friends list. It's kind of neat. I think Chaos Island's terrain is really slept on. I think it has the most, like, hills and slopes out of every island in the game, low-key. Like, Kronos has a lot of really good ones, but it's just such a small map. But I think it really makes for awesome movement in Chaos when you're not trapped in a 2D section. This level is definitely, like, a top 3 favorite of mine. The Sky Sanctuary levels are very clean most of the time. It's funny that we have voice chat now because we were able to communicate and everybody was able to get into a single file line while we were getting ready for the race. Now, usually Knuckles feels really stiff in cyberspace, especially when you're racing against a bunch of Sonics, but for some reason, I just felt 100% of my power in this session, and I was able to play Knuckles like I usually do in the open zone. He was smooth as hell, and really the only difference I had between this session and the last is that I was using a good model for him this time. By the way, I love that I can constantly save my bacon with his patented glide. It's so neat watching other people bounce off of the springs and like jump up the steps and platforms in front of you. Like, it's like you're chasing after them and you're reacting to all the same things they are at the same time. Oh man, it's beautiful. And again, like, the amount of skill expression you have with being able to ladder off of people to get up somewhere quicker, and magnet dashing off of the obstacles and everything too. It's like, if you see somebody else doing something, you can do that yourself as well. Knuckles is so busted. I mean, he knows Angel Island like the back of his hand. Did you really expect anything else? And look at that, I was able to keep up with a Sonic player by using the magnet dash while he was just using his base speed. How fun. I just feel like I'm constantly role-playing with other people when they're using the other characters. But at the very end here, we all waited politely for everybody else to come by, and it was really cool seeing it because you can watch them all doing their, like, dangling animation on the zipline. There's something satisfying about seeing the name tags pop into frame. I think this was by far the most fun session I've had doing multiplayer cyberspace. So fun, in fact, that we crashed the game. As we booted back in, everybody went insane again, didn't learn their lesson, but thankfully we didn't actually crash this time. We were all getting ready to... But no, seriously, Chaos Island's terrain is super underrated because we can do this. Look at all of us just, like, explode and spread out in the air. All of us spin dashed off of a different slope on that hill. And there are so many other hills here too. You could see the other people gaining distance on you, and I got screwed over by the classic glide, I'm not gonna lie. But even though I had to respawn at the very beginning and sacrifice my place in the race, there were still a bunch of people that I could meet, even though I was all the way back there, and I was actually able to use them to kind of guide me to a better pathway because I was unfamiliar with this route. It was awesome. And welcome back to another Silhouette level. The last time I was in one of these, I complained about how dark it was. That is because I'm using the graphics enhancement in addition to original cyberspace themes. This level does not usually look as dark if you access it from arcade mode. It's a weird bug that kind of only occurs when you do it via the islands, which is bizarre. I don't know why that happens, but this is a really cool level in multiplayer because if you have spin dash on rails, everything is really, really fast, and I actually kind of argue it's better when it's this dark and silhouetted because everybody was able to just, like, take a risk every single time we magnet dashed off of each other, and we were able to kind of, like, light the way for each other with the name tags and jump balls. It was really fun. I actually preferred it this way, and the camera angles looked really cool every time it got close to Sonic in his spinball. It's so satisfying watching everybody just explode off of all of those hills and inclines all together. And look at that, I canceled my homing attack on that other person with the spin dash, and then it put me directly in place to shoot myself off of a little slope. And I got all of this height from that. And I wanted to look really cool and jump off of the rail, but Frontiers physics be like. But at least I got here very early, so I got to sit back and watch the show and see everybody come up from different angles. And here we are in everybody's favorite Frontiers level. This is a real game seller. Next time I want to sell somebody on this game, I'm showing them this level. Now, this level is actually kind of fun in a way because if you don't play it the way it's intended and you actively go against this little stupid drift panel as if it's like a penalty, it is kind of fun. Probably more so in multiplayer because you get to see other people get penalized for their mistakes, and then it's also very competitive because of how fast the magnet dash will take you. It is really cool in its own kind of way. I found some enjoyment in this. It helps too that the shape of this level is basically a racetrack as well, so avoiding those obstacles does feel more like a car race, especially with the cleverly used road texture. Anyway, I simply jumped up here on this pedestal and I told 40 other people to somehow get up here with me. And then we just spin dashed off. And then we started falling with style into the void, into the abyss. And I really do think Chaos Island is probably the most underrated island because look at this view, dude. The Death Egg robot in the background while we glide over a giant ravine that was created by a giant missile, and then you got multiple players behind me. Oh, yeah, this level. This one was kind of miserable for me specifically. It really should not have been, but earlier I disabled my do damage on boost code because I did not want to make it this level hell for everybody else, and I paid the price for it. You'll see why later. The music in this level is amazing, by the way. I listen to this regularly. It's one of the most satisfying songs. The beginning of this level is not so bad. I think that this level gets insanely enhanced by multiplayer. Pretty much every 2D level does, because it really simplifies the kind of movement that is required of you, and you can just focus on seeing all the other people around you. It's fun. And of course, this is like the level that you want to use magnet dashing on, so everybody used that to their best advantage. Knuckles' glide was really good in these segments too, because you can't restart in multiplayer races. You have to work with what you got. Also, how cool was it seeing that Sonic just like burst by? And it's really funny hearing other players just have the thud sound effect as they hit a spike ball. Oh man, that's so cool. Using another person there. And again, because Knuckles' stomp is really slow, I just cancel my momentum with the spin dash. Spin dash is broken for the Update 3 characters. That part could have been very scary for me, but thankfully I had air boost and glide on my side, and it was really challenging to just turn around, so I sacrificed my place in the race by quite a bit, but that's okay. And here's the part that I got stuck on for way longer than I should have. Because for some reason, you can't use your jump ball to jump into enemies without the doing damage with boost code. I don't get it. I don't understand why all of a sudden Sonic characters can't just boost or jump into enemies, like jump ball into enemy. I don't get it. It's so weird. I love Frontiers, but it's so damn weird sometimes, man. Of course, I can't get past the literal enemy in front of me, but I perfectly dodge the jump scare spike ball. Okay. Somehow, by a stroke of luck, I managed to just shoot myself perfectly off of that stone, and I kept accidentally homing attacking other players and canceling it, and it worked so perfect for my momentum. As much as I like seeing people jump around in the air and seeing the different colored jump balls, it's also really satisfying when I can look over my shoulder and see people just regularly running on the ground up and down the hills. It feels like something I would see in a Sonic animation or like a comic panel where they're all running side by side each other. It's so neat. That homing attack cancel was intentional, for the record, by the way, and that felt really good to apply. Like, you could just see other people ahead of you and be like, ooh, that's an opportunity. Like, yeah, I could be just spamming my spin dash, but I did intentionally just run on foot, just for the aesthetic, just for the aura of it all. This part is also really funny because several people got, like, held captive in a 2D section, and then out of nowhere, Fortress! I don't know how many other people saw this, but personally, I always have my Guardians respawn, and I forgot there was one right here, and he killed everybody. This is the final level of Chaos Island, and it has one of the coolest themes by far, man. But before I get into that, I just gotta mention, like, how sick is it having the classic Sonic 2 chemical plant level layout there, and like a million different hedgehogs, foxes, and echidnas just rolling around on those slopes and like getting different amounts of velocity next to one another. It's so cool. But chemical plant is a really cool aesthetic for Sonic because it's probably the most industrial you can get, but it's just the fact that it's been reused in so many different games that I'm kind of not as big on it as I was before, which is why I've been particularly impressed with all of the chemical plant level themes in the original Cyberspace. We had the Rave Zone, and now we have a literal space station with the stars and the planet in the back, and like the way that they changed the color of all the textures to be like brighter. It looks like actual spacecraft equipment. It's really neat. Again, there's something really satisfying about seeing something as simple as other players in 2D with the modern character designs just like jumping up and down a bunch of platforms and hitting enemies like side by side me. I don't know. That was also intentional, by the way. I knew I wouldn't reach the platform, but I just laddered off of that guy with a spin attack. And bada bing, bada boom, we all made it in. I know a lot of what I say in these multiplayer videos is just over and over again, like, wow, that looks really cool, or wow, I'm so immersed, blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, the thing that hooked me on Frontiers in the first place was the fact that now we get to throw hands with Sonic instead of just homing attacking and jumping on things. Now we actually get to have full 360 control over his entire speed. Now we actually get to launch off of things with his speed. We get to parry things. We get to be him. We get to be the guy. And it would have felt like such a waste if we didn't also eventually get that experience with the other characters that are beloved, and on top of all of it now, we don't have to choose just one, we can see all of them in action at the same time. And we honestly don't get very much media that showcases what these characters are capable of, which is why I appreciate Frontiers as a video game so much, and why I just visually appreciate the shots that I can get out of the multiplayer mod. It's the coolest thing ever, whether it's PvP, racing, just screwing around, or if I even just climb up a giant tower and see an AFK player. It's always fun. It's a nice surprise that you don't get in purely, strictly single-player experiences. And hey, if anything, I really encourage you all to play on Chaos Island some more, because I think the terrain is really good for multiplayer. That being said, if you want to get this mod yourself, it is invite only right now, but you can get invites to the Discord server by following AngryZor on Twitter and waiting for invites to be posted. I like to cover platforming content, both fan-made and official, and if you liked what you saw here today, consider checking out my Sonic modding playlist, as I have many other multiplayer videos just like this. Pretty much everything I record in these games going forward is going to be in multiplayer, just for the aura and the chaos.